Go home, go hard, go home. Touchdown like the end zone. When the circle turn to my home, can't get me out of my zone. Go hard, go home, go hard, go home. Yeah, these are championship rings on my hands now. In my head I'm top 10, yeah, that's hands down. You a squad, know you're looking man down. Funny how foes turn to friends now. Drive a race car like a Atari now. Call filling up, I need product again. Treat the business like a playground, might slide on you. Don't me wrong, might slide on you. Do a backflip, cause I'm mad rich. I'm the definition of what that is. Go hard, go home, go hard, go hard, go home, go hard, go hard, go home, go hard, go home. touchdown like the end zone. When the circle turn to my home, can't get me out of my zone. Go hard, or go home.
You're on mute, brother.
And I'm on mute. Hello. Good evening. How is everyone doing? Welcome to the Texas Longhorn Fan Battle podcast. I am your host. My name is Harish, aka the Uncle Gandhi. And of course, I'm joined here by my sidekick, Tim Wayne. Tim Wayne, how you doing tonight, man?
What's going on, Longhorn Nation?
What's up? All right, before we get started, let's do a couple of housekeeping notes.
Right.
First off, we want to shout out to fanbattlesports.com. We are presented by the Fan Battle Sports Network, so I want to shout out to those guys. Thank you for bringing us back together. Right. Episode 2. We've got an action-packed filled night for you guys. Please go visit the website. I am publishing an article tonight, just a little bit after the show. First article for the stream and for the podcast. So please go visit Fan Battle Sports while you're there. Check out the other shows. You got the Jaguars Fan Battle. You got the Horseshoe Mob. You've got You got the Titans Fan Battle podcast. Go check everyone out. And if you're interested, please reach out to us and let us know. We want to get new content creators out there. FanBattleSports.com, everyone. Of course, we are brand new. We need your support. We need to tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your brother, tell your sister, your cousin, your uncle, your grandma, whoever wants to listen.
Yes, sir.
To please follow us on Twitter.
Definitely get that word out. We need the help. We need the support.
Absolutely. Tim, we are 2 weeks away from Texas football being back, right?
Yeah, man. It's I never thought we would get here, We're in the dog days, in that little grace period where there's really nothing going on. Unless you're a baseball fan, or unless you're a tennis fan, there's really nothing going on. The big sports, they're on break and hiatus, but we got the summer league, if that's your thing. When the Drew League just wrapped up a couple days ago. But as far as football fans, we've been blessed to have the USFL and the XFL, if that's your thing, if you want to watch football all year round. But we all know who the king is, right? NFL, college football. I'm thinking that they're really neck and neck now, especially with making the move.
Yeah.
Right. Getting ready to make that move and conferences realigning and things of that nature. So that drought is almost over. It's almost over, my friend.
This is the first dog day I've actually enjoyed, probably in about 5 or 6 years. Right. Being a Rangers fan, we've sucked for a very long time.
Right.
We don't suck this year, and it feels good. It feels good to finally be relevant. So I've personally been enjoying the summer. I've watched a lot of baseball. Shout out to the league for implementing the pitch count because I was tired of waiting, a minute between every pitch.
Ooh, man.
15 seconds, So games are going pretty quickly. So shout out to them. All right. We're not here for baseball, although Texas did let a fly ball keep them from going from the College World Series. That's a completely different thing. We're here to talk about.
That's still nasty. That still hurts.
It hurts, man. It hurts. So that's what our summer consisted of. It consisted of Dylan Campbell watching a fly ball fall in front of him.
Right.
That was brutal.
Right.
Shout out to Dylan Campbell. We love you, bro. I think he got drafted. Dodgers, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, you know what? Before Dog Days, you know who's killing it right now in baseball?
Who?
Ivan Melendez.
Well, okay.
Right? Hitting home runs every at bat in single A. Hitting home runs every other at bat in double A.
Right.
And if he can hit home runs every 3 at bats in triple A, he'll be in the majors in no time. He'll play for a crappy team, but that's okay.
Well, he's definitely going to play for a crappy team. But
I think Royals
want to hopefully buy a jersey one day. Hopefully, hopefully sooner than later.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all fun and games. Thanks for talking about the dog days, Tim. We really appreciate it. Let's get to the real football talk. Let's get to the real thing. And let's talk about what we came here for. So, Tim, last week we talked about Big 12 media days.
Right.
This week another thing happened, and that is SEC Media Days. Now,
Yeah.
a lot of interesting conversation. Obviously, all head coaches were asked about Texas,
Right.
but I want to start with commissioner of the SEC, Greg Sankey, talking about next year's SEC Media Days, and the show this tonight is appropriately titled "Texas already runs the SEC." Right?
Pretty much, that's what it feels like.
Why, Tim? Why does Texas already run the SEC, Tim? You want to let the crowd know?
Well, that's because next year the SEC Media Day will definitely be in Dallas, Texas.
Correct.
Which is right up the road from us. So,
sure. Yeah. So next year's already been announced. Dallas, Texas, the Omni Hotel. They even said the venue. And what's interesting is, and go read my article. I'll post it later today. I talk about this in my article. For the first time since I can ever remember, two Power 5 conferences will not only be in the same city,
right,
be in the same state,
right.
Yet alone, they'll be in the same state and the same city a week apart.
Right.
Next year's going to get very, very interesting, right?
Very, very.
The other thing, everybody this week during SEC Media Days obviously talked about Texas because we run the SEC. So they couldn't talk about Texas. They couldn't stop not talking about Texas. It almost seemed like every coach had a segment about Texas, and they all love Texas.
Right.
Was there anything from any of the coaches' comments that stuck out to you?
Other than Josh Heupel?
Let's talk about Josh Heupel.
Really real UT?
Yeah.
Now, for those that don't know, Josh Heupel, head coach of the Tennessee Volunteers, has a significant tie to Texas, being that he went to Oklahoma, I want to say in the early 2000s. I don't know if that's Bob Stoops' first coach or first quarterback. I can't remember off the top of my head, but there's a lot of uneasy blood there, and Josh Heupel has talked, about Texas throughout the years in an unfavoring fashion since he's been with Oklahoma and been throughout the NFL and back with the college football. So he's always had little snarky remarks and saying that the University of Tennessee is the real UT and Texas isn't the real UT. Well, we're gonna see, because we're in your backyard now. We're in the same division. We're not right down the street, but we're in the same conference, and it is a possibility with the way that things are looking at Tennessee, and the way things are swinging. Like we may see them, possibly, and I'm not calling this right off the bat, but we could possibly see them in a SEC type situation, a championship type situation, a college football playoff type situation with the expansion. So, I mean, everybody else, of course, I think everybody else is going to talk well about Texas just because, one, Texas is a big dog as far as money is concerned. And, I don't like to talk about money when it comes to football programs and things of that nature, but I mean, a spade is a spade. Texas, generates more money than a lot of these colleges, and probably more than any of those SEC teams. And that's not taking away from any of those teams. I'm just saying from a support wise, whether it be donations, whether it be ticket revenue, whether it be season ticket sales, that's just what it is. Forbes they release a list every year, and Texas is if they're not number one, they're number two, and usually they're number one. I want to say within the last 5 or 6 years, Texas has been number one.
Absolutely. And what's funny, and I saw this on Twitter, right? And it's one of the first things that came to mind. There's an image of the old school UT Texas,
right,
letters and logos. And then when Tennessee came in, how they copied the same thing, right? They tried to be, a little bit different font, a little less bold, a little more blah, 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 blah. Tennessee wants to be Texas, and they have an opportunity to be in the same, in the same house with the big dogs, right?
Right.
Tennessee's been a dog in the doghouse, or whatever you want to call it, all these years, only because they're in the SEC.
Right.
they don't hold the same weight and name as Texas, right?
Right. And,
We
and
run-
Tennessee will, and Tennessee fans will think something different, but I mean, regardless of the situation, it's true. Outside of maybe a couple of blips within the last 10 years, really Tennessee hasn't really been a main factor. At least I could say, especially as far as winning the SEC,
Sure.
winning your conference, I would say, we've had a little bit more of an established run to actually win the conference, even
Yep.
though we've had what most teams would consider a down year. So, again, we're gonna see. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to see exactly what happens. Again, with the expansion of the playoff, that could really be a matchup, especially if Tennessee holds up the end and we hold up our end. That could definitely be a matchup that we might end up seeing next year.
Yeah, absolutely. And shout out to Jimmy, Texas versus Tennessee. Similar goes the Tea Party. What's up, Jimmy? How you doing tonight, man? And our best friend Keith. Tennessee hasn't been relevant since Peyton Manning, to be honest. Keith, I don't know if you know this. I know you don't watch college football because you stay down there in Alabama, but Tennessee just had a really good season behind.
They actually had a decent season.
Hooker. So,
barring injury, they might have won the SEC.
They could have won the SEC.
They could have won the SEC.
Get hurt.
Right.
Listen, Hendon Hooker. If Hendon Hooker doesn't get hurt, he's probably the second quarterback taken in the draft. That's a different conversation. Yeah. That's how I feel. Yeah. But we're not here to talk about Tennessee because they like to drink tea, and I don't like tea. So
I love tea. I'm a Texan through and through. I love a good sweet tea. You know that.
All right. Well, that's sweet tea. We're talking about hot tea. You know what I mean? I'm talking about hot tea. I don't like hot tea. I used to, but I don't anymore. Anyway, moving on. Next week, actually 2 weeks from now, right? Because next week is the NFL's time to shine and bring themselves out. But August 2nd. Sorry, I'm losing my months here.
Right. They're flying by, man.
Big week, right?
Very big week.
And you get 30 days to prepare for the first game.
Right.
Right. First thing we're going to look at, and we'll talk about this pretty quickly. Name some position battles that you think are going to be important heading into fall camp, right? As we head into fall camp, what are some position battles that you're going to be looking at?
So I think we talked about this prior to us going live, but I really think there's a position that is going to be I believe could be a big has an opportunity. I think it's open. Me and you both definitely think that Xavier Worthy will be the starting receiver. He's the best receiver on the field. He's the most explosive on the field. We would next say A.D. Mitchell. I believe A.D. Mitchell is probably the second. Hopefully, we can see what Isaiah Nair has coming back off an injury, a really serious leg injury. But as of now, I would say just based on injury, I would say AD would start over Isaiah Nair just because of the injury. That third receiver, I think that battle between Jordan Whittington and Jonte Cook is a big deal. I think that third receiver spot.
Okay.
Well, we know that Jordan Whittington, he definitely wanted to come back. He definitely felt like he had something to prove. He's another great receiver, highly touted receiver, highly recruited. Basically, ran into a lot of situations where he got injured. Ran into the COVID year. Was able to still utilize his. I want to say was that his sophomore year, and was able to come back for his sophomore year. Got injured again, right? And then he's back and ready to play again. Utilizing his red shirt and the COVID year to give him an opportunity to continue to play and to improve his draft stock. Because he definitely wants to play at the next level. And so, he definitely feels like he can contribute to the next level, which I think he can too, because he's been around. You can kind of see that he is somewhat of a leader on the field, from at least from what I've seen. So you got Jordan Whittington, and then you got Jonte Cook. Jonte Cook, freshman, true freshman. I really, really think with his explosiveness and just the way, the energy and what people have talked so much, so great about Jordan Whittington. I'm sorry, Jonte Cook, and how he's contributed so far in practice. That he's a kind of a standout so far. So I definitely want to see how that works out. So that third receiver spot is definitely something that I'm looking at.
Okay, I'm going to tell you. I think the third receiver spot. I think the wide receivers are set.
You think so? Okay.
So now
So based on what you know, or based on how you feel, how do you feel that that's already set?
So obviously X is number 1,
right?
I think AD is number 2.
Okay.
I think Jordan's number 3, and the reason why I think Jordan's number 3, I think this is going to be Jordan Whittington's best season.
Mm-hmm.
I could see him be 600-700 yards this year, just from the slot. I think he's a Jordan Whittington. To me, last year was his first full healthy year.
Right.
This year is going to be the second year in a row where he no injuries, the leader of the team, sure hands, can catch anything.
And he's familiar. Knows
the system.
He knows the system. So yeah, okay.
AD Mitchell would be number 2, just for the simple fact that the guy just doesn't get footballs, right?
Right.
He's a touchdown machine.
He really is.
That being said, we are very, very deep at wide receiver. I would keep an eye on Jonte Cook.
Right.
But beyond that, I think you store everybody else. You don't need it. Isaiah Nayor, we don't know what he's going to be. He's coming off that ACL from last year.
Right.
I was high on Isaiah Nayor last year being the slot guy.
Right.
Because I wasn't sure about Jordan Whittington.
Right.
But
still sleeping on Casey Kane.
Jimmy, Casey Kane's gonna be. I think Casey Kane's gonna transfer. I think he gets out of there. The wide receiver room is way too deep, and wait. If
things are going the way we hope that they go, right? We're in the season of hope, right? We're hoping for the best. Hope is a hell of a drug.
Yeah.
If things are to go the way that they go, let's say Xavier Worthy, let's say he is a finalist for the Heisman.
Xavier Worthy?
Yes. Let's say Xavier Worthy is a finalist for the Heisman. Let's say AD Mitchell. Let's say he gets, he gets Big 12 top 10 or Big 12 all Big 12, right?
Yeah.
All SEC, but all Big 12, right? Let's say that they start winning these awards and getting these finalists, and then they start to really shine later in the season. I can see both of them being gone. I think we could lose both of them next year. So that still gives you an opportunity, if you're Casey Kane, to still stick around, again, get more familiar with the system and step right in where people have left off. And so I don't see Casey Kane. I would think Casey Kane would really be missing out if he decided, hey, I want to transfer.
So my argument to that is, I think we're going to get that 5-star wide receiver coming in this year, right? That's 1.
Right.
DeAndre Moore, you forget 4-star last year. He's a freshman this year. That's 2.
Right.
Jonte Cook, Ryan Neblett. I don't think there's any room for Casey Kane. I just do not think there's
I totally forgot. I totally forgot about those guys.
Ryan and Sark already talks about how much he loves Ryan Neblett.
Right.
Sark is one of those guys that'll make you read in between the lines, and I think Anwar and the guys over there at Orange Bud. Shout out to those guys, huge fans of them. My favorite drunk unk. We were talking about this last week, and how they talk about certain players,
Right.
right? If they say their names a lot, Jalen Ford last year, Sark raved about him.
Right.
He's like, oh,
Right.
watch out for this guy.
Right.
This year, one of those guys, Jake Majors, is like, yeah, we like Jake Majors a lot, right? But we like bigger guys. Like we want guys to be bigger on the offensive line.
Right.
That tells you the first, second Jake Majors can be replaced. He's going to replace him.
Yeah. Hey.
Another guy he talks about a lot and his versatility and the way that they can use him in multiple ways is Ryan Neblett. And yeah, I don't think Ryan Neblett plays this year. I don't think he needs to play this year. DeAndre Moore, Ryan Neblett, those guys, even Jonte Cook, they don't need to play this year. And if Texas does get some of these commits, I just don't see there being any room for Casey Kane.
Do you think Casey Kane and then at one point in time says, hey, I need to do something different, and maybe pull a Roshan and say, hey, I don't want to leave the team? Because again, remember, we all remember how Roshan was a highly recruited quarterback to come in and ended up, going into the league as a running back. And so he made the decision to make that change. And I would say that was one of the better changes that we've seen in a long time, to have, to be able to showcase his versatility. So do you think at one point in time, if Casey Kane has the opportunity to maybe possibly start, maybe, contribute as a running back, or maybe contribute at a different position, what do you think about that? Or do you
I actually was about to say this: safety or corner. Now, you've got. I think the Jimmy hit it right on the head. I think you haven't. If we're talking about, a guy that can move positions if he wants to, right?
Right, if he wants to, yeah.
He could be a slot corner. I think he's
okay.
What, 5'9", 5'10", maybe 6 foot.
Right.
I don't know how tall he is, but he's got the speed. He's got good enough hands.
Right.
I'm actually looking right now. I think, no, Casey Kane is 6'3". He'd be perfect as a slot corner, right? 6'3" corner with a lot of speed. I think safety or corner would be a good option if he wants to stay at Texas.
Casey Kane is a big guy, man. That's really tall.
He's 6'3", 180, I think.
That's really good.
190, 6'3", 190.
So he's
195.
Oh, wow.
So he's a big guy.
Right.
If he wants to stay, if he wants to be a part of this Texas culture, that's what I could see. That's where I could see Casey Kane. But I'm just going to throw this up. This is another reason why it doesn't. If we commit Micah Hudson, which it's looking very good, he starts next year. Micah Hudson is wide receiver 1 next year. He's that good.
Number 1, even over Jonte Cook?
He is that good. Jonte Cook's going to be your slot. And DeAndre Moore is going to be on the outside. Bro, I'm telling you, bro, you got Micah Hudson is that guy. I'm telling you, man. Micah Hudson is that guy.
Micah Hudson is a beast.
He is one of a kind.
Right.
That's how much they are. His comparison to what I've heard is like not Tyreek Hill. There's another comparison. There's like top NFL talent comparisons to Micah Hudson.
Right.
And
I mean, they've compared Xavier Worthy to Devonta Smith.
Yeah, but that's after last year. That's this year. There was no comparison of Xavier Worthy when he was coming in. Not that I can remember, right?
No. I can't think of anything close, honestly.
So I think that's definitely something to keep an eye on. So we dug deep into wide receivers. I think the other position that I think is obviously going to be something to look at is backup quarterback, right? Arch Manning versus Malik Murphy.
Right.
I think it's going to be Malik Murphy. I think Arch Manning actually ends up redshirting.
Right.
Because he's a Manning. They don't play in their freshman year. That's just, they don't do that. That's not what they do.
Right.
Um,
So I even if he didn't redshirt, I just believe that with the knowledge that from the quarterbacks that they have now, they've mentioned. I've seen people mention that Arch has had the playbook since he got to the UT. Right. I mean, it makes sense. He's
Right.
a quarterback, right? But it's still like experience is everything. I definitely think Malik Murphy is the better option. And I'm not saying that Malik Murphy is a better quarterback than Arch Manning. He might be right now,
Yeah.
at this moment in time. Now next year, who knows? You know what I'm saying? Who actually knows? But at this time, I kind of feel the same way. I definitely think Malik Murphy is the better option as a backup right now. I really, really hope that Sark can find a way to get him in the game. I really, really want to see what he has to offer, whether it's running, whether it's throwing the ball. I just really want to see what he has to offer. I hope they got some type of package there. Um, you know, Hopefully we don't have to see him on a regular basis because that means Quinn is hurt
Yeah.
or he's just not playing well. And I hope that we never have to see that case. But I definitely hope that we do see something. He'll have something on the field.
Yeah, I think Sark wants to just see what he has. I actually think we'll find games where we see a little bit of Arch too, right? Because even as a red shirt now, you can play up to 4 games without losing your red shirt. So
Right.
snap here, snap there, a little handoff, a little throw here, just to see what he has, right? Just to see, especially when we blow out Oklahoma 65-0. Like it'd be nice to see what he can do.
There's nobody more popular than a backup quarterback on the team. So
Hey,
we definitely we know what's going to happen if that is to happen. There's definitely going to be a cheer uproar. The last name Manning, it's rung bells over 30 years in the NFL, 40 years in the NFL. So this is no different, right? This is the next Manning, the next guy up, right? So we'll see what happens in the meantime. But for right now, I definitely think Malik Murphy is definitely a solid backup, just from what we've seen from practices that we've been to personally. At one point in time, we talked about this last year, but at one point in time, I wanted Malik Murphy to start over Quinn.
Yeah,
he just it was just something about him. It was something that just kind of came off, like especially when he let go of that ball. That ball was high and tight, and it came out quick, and it was on point, and that kind of stuck out to me. Not knowing, we definitely didn't know that Quinn was battling a hand injury last year. But I've seen, he seems to be 100% now. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks.
Sure. Other positions that we're looking at, obviously running back.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that ends up going to Jonathan Brooks, but I wouldn't. I've heard some rumblings that it will be running back by committee to start.
You think he's going to Jonathan Brooks?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, who do you think is going to get it? Cedric Baxter?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. See, we got some controversy. This is why you're Longhorn Fan Battle Network, baby. We got some controversy. So
Cedric Baxter, I remember specifically Cedric Baxter when they interviewed him, when he committed, he said he wanted to contribute immediately.
Okay.
That ain't about running back by committee. That means I want to play. Like I want to start.
Okay.
Like I think CJ Baxter is going to be the starter, not taking anything away from Jonathan.
Yeah.
But CJ Baxter, you just don't go and get a stud like that and say, "Oh, we're gonna do running back by committee." We didn't do that. We didn't do that when we went and got Bijan.
Who did we have in the backfield when we got Bijan? Bijan was our only option.
Right. Cedric Baxter, I believe Cedric Baxter or CJ Baxter is the only option.
We have options. You have Jaden Blue, you have Jonathan Brooks, you have Savion Red.
I'm talking every down back. Cedric Baxter, CJ Baxter is the starter.
I think Jonathan Brooks starts. I think he starts now. Listen, I think eventually Cedric Baxter takes over as the bell cow.
Mm-hmm.
but I think you have to give Jonathan Brooks a shot. I think he's deserved that, right? He's averaged 6 yards a carry his career.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of yards.
No,
That's more than 4 yards. That's more than 5 yards. That's almost 7 yards a carry. That's a lot of yards. You're basically saying that every other down he's getting a first down.
Right.
That's a lot.
No, I'm not knocking him. However, when we're talking about when I look at that roster, when we look at the roster, and we look at every day, first off, do we need to go back and do we need to pull up some CJ Baxter highlights?
Listen, I'm not debating you on CJ Baxter. I agree that he's a monster.
Right.
I think Sark's going to give Jonathan Brooks a shot. He deserves that shot.
Now, let me ask you this. Would you be upset if CJ Baxter was the bell cow by week 5?
No, I wouldn't be upset at all. It honestly probably wouldn't even surprise me.
Okay.
But I think Jonathan Brooks will start the fall and the season as running back 1.
Okay. Yeah, we got a difference of opinions there, but that's cool.
Well, that's why we're here and battling it out. So,
right.
Finally, the last position I want to talk about is linebacker.
Right.
There's a couple guys here. Obviously, you've got your guy, right? You got Jalen Ford. I've heard some news about David Gbenda, who's never done anything in his career at Texas, but apparently he's having his best offseason ever. Which, if you haven't performed for 3 years, your best offseason ever could be average, right?
Right.
We got a third linebacker spot. Spoiler alert, because this will go into our next segment. I think that's going to go to Anthony Hill. We're talking.
Again, you don't recruit those guys. You don't recruit those type of guys and sit there. You just you don't do it.
But Anthony Hill is different than CJ Baxter to me.
We've chased that guy. We've chased Anthony Hill Jr. for 2 years. Right. Ain't no way he sits down.
Anthony Hill, there's nobody to run him out of his position. He is the guy because there's nobody else there. He doesn't have 3 other running backs or 3 other guys that could potentially take his spot, right? You have people that could maybe do something, right? You got Leon Lefau, who's a guy that they went and got. Samaje Burrell is another guy they went and got.
Right.
So, I mean, there's Jet Bush, who's a senior who, again, for 3 years hasn't done anything. So, I mean, you've got other guys, but Anthony Hill was the starter in the spring game, and he looked really good.
He looked fantastic.
And you can use Anthony Hill as a pass rusher too, right?
Right.
So you've got those 2 things going for you. I think Anthony Hill is going to take that spot. Mm-hmm. Real quick, finally, interior lineman. Right. Christian Jones, obviously. Kelvin Banks, obviously there. I'm curious about – we've heard a couple of things about I'm losing my head over his name. Cameron Williams, sorry.
Okay.
We've heard a couple of things about Cameron Williams. Cole Hudson comes back into the mix. DJ Campbell, and then of course, so you've got guys that you could potentially start. I think if you start the season, all 3 of those guys start. Jake Majors probably starts them at center.
Okay.
I don't think Jake Majors ends the season at center. I don't think Jake Majors ends the season at all. Starting.
Really?
We've talked about this before the show.
Right.
Sark, and we just talked about this a little, literally talked specifically about Jake Majors.
Right.
When Sark speaks, he says certain words about certain people. Mm-hmm, you've got to read in between the lines. We like big, beefy boys up front on the offensive and defensive side of the ball.
Right.
Jake Majors is not a big, beefy boy. He is a speed, agility, probably good footwork guy.
Right. He's a utility guy. He can be plugged in at any position on the offensive line.
And he would make for a great backup. Right. The name I've heard is Connor Robertson. He's a redshirt freshman, straight out of Austin from Westlake.
Right. Okay.
6'4", 320.
So is he making I haven't really been able to pay it. I really haven't paid attention to the offensive line, to be completely honest with you. I've been more focused on the defense, as you can tell from last week's episode. So what is it about him that's been standing like
He's big. He's a big dude.
Right.
Literally, that's all it is.
I mean,
he's a big dude, and he's got the same athletic attributes as Jake Majors. And Jake Majors, for really the 3 years that he's been here, hasn't really been healthy. So he's really kind of like teetering on in that area. Right. So it really just comes down to
availability. That's what it sounds like to me.
Right, availability, and if you weigh you're like 6'8" and 400 pounds. Like everyone's big dudes. Like there's nothing we can do about that. So just a couple of things we can think about, but stay tuned here. Obviously, we'll be talking about fall football. Hopefully, we'll get an opportunity to go to some practices.
Right.
And we'll be able to give you guys some coverage from there. But meanwhile, Tim, we've got to prepare for the season.
Right.
There's nothing to talk about, so why don't we talk about hype? All right, let's hype some folks up.
Right.
Let's see who we're gonna talk about. So I've got 4 categories of players.
Okay.
And I want you to tell me, who do you think, will fit in these 4 categories when it comes to you?
Okay, so we're just gonna go straight down the line. Do you want to just go straight down the line, or do you want to
straight down the list? We're gonna go one at a time.
Okay.
I think the way we'll do this is I'll give you mine.
Okay.
You give me yours, and then I'll give you mine.
Okay.
And we'll go one at a time. So first is most impactful freshman.
CJ Baxter.
Okay.
That's it. That's it. I think this guy is an every down back. I think he's a home run hitter, one cut, no nonsense, no dancing in the backfield type of guy. You've seen it on film. I think he does the same thing when he gets to Texas. And I think Sark is going to be able to get him out in the open to either mow you over or to get him between the tackles.
Did he get 1,000 yards this year?
What's that?
Let's just say, the CJ Baxter play enough this year to get 1,000 yards?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
Well, I'm going to go on the defensive side of the ball, and I'm going to take Anthony Hill.
Okay. I don't knock that at all.
Right. He's a guy you can play at linebacker. He's a guy that can, do a little bit of coverage, and I think that's probably the biggest part of his game. He's going to need to improve.
Right.
But you can put him down on the defensive line. He can go get the quarterback, which is where Texas struggles the most on defense.
Right.
And when you've got a fantastic secondary, the only thing you can do to make him even better, help him out, go get the quarterback. Texas got to the quarterback a lot, but they've struggled to sack the quarterback.
Right.
I think which I think hurt him in a couple of games. So, yeah, that was pretty easy for me. I think most impactful freshman is Anthony Hill.
Okay.
Breakout candidate on offense.
Breakout. Ryan Niblett.
Ryan Niblett, huh?
Right.
So you think he plays more than Jonte Cook?
Okay. So for me, Ryan Niblett is a bigger, better route runner. Brennan Thompson. He can fly. He can get out. He can get up and get out there. I think Sark uses him in situations where you don't think he's going to be able to get the ball. You don't think they're going to go to him, whether it's play action, whether it's screen, utilizing the screen pass. We know what Sark can drum up. He did it with Xavier Worthy. I think he has the same type of impact as Xavier Worthy. So many people are going to be focused on Jonte Cook that they're not going to remember that, Ryan Niblett is right there as well. And so when you get overlooked because of the other big names, that's when you have a situation when you break out.
Okay. Well, I'm going to stay on wide receiver. I'm going to say Isaiah Nayor.
Ooh.
Now, I liked Isaiah Nayor last year, but obviously he got hurt.
Right. We were at that practice in which both the offensive lineman and Isaiah Nayor both tore their ACLs.
I think so. We were there when it happened.
Right. Yeah, we were there.
Yeah, it was in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I think it was one of the open practices where they had everybody come into the stadium. They didn't have it at the small field. This was at the bigger field.
Is that the big? Remember? Is this? It was the same practice that he caught the big bomb from Quinn at.
Right. In the
Yeah.
back of the end zone.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'll take Isaiah Nayor, burner, right?
Right.
And Quinn loves to throw the deep ball. We know Quinn's not always accurate with the deep ball, so you need a burner that can go catch up to those.
Right.
Not saying Xavier Worthy wasn't that guy. You talk about guys that focus on people, right? There's going to be plenty to focus on. You got
Right.
how DBs are going to have to worry about doubling Worthy. I think they're going to have to worry about doubling AD Mitchell too,
Mm-hmm.
right? Especially in the red zone. You can use Isaiah Nayor as a red zone threat. You remember that little zig route that Xavier ran against Texas Tech, where it kind of went out and then out and then
Mhm.
out.
Yeah.
I think we'll see a lot of those types of routes, drag routes, zig routes, little out routes, just things like that allow him to get in space.
Right.
Spark love,
The only reason why I didn't pick Isaiah is because I want him to get as healthy as possible. You definitely don't want to rush anybody back from an injury that he sustained again with an ACL. So
Yeah.
I'm really hoping that when the season starts, he's 100%.
I think he's been out for about 18 months at this point.
Has it been 18 months?
I mean, remember he got hurt in the spring last year.
Man, that's been a while. Yeah, it's been a while.
So by the time he plays, it'll be 17 months, I think.
Well, hopefully he's back to 100%. He has the confidence to be able to run on that knee.
That's the one thing I want to see. Does he have the confidence to practice? Is he? No. But I think if he does, I think Isaiah Nayor is going to be breakout candidate.
Okay.
All right. Breakout candidate defense.
Of course, it's the guy. It's Anthony Hill. It's Anthony Hill Jr. all the way. I don't know. I mean, outside of Jalen Ford, like, I don't know anybody else that's really got the opportunity to just break out. It's him. We've mentioned it. You just mentioned it. We need an edge rusher. You know who Anthony Hill Jr. reminds me of? He reminds me of Sergio Kendall, a bigger Sergio Kendall.
Okay.
Do you remember Sergio Kendall?
I absolutely remember Sergio
He was
Kendall.
a monster.
Yeah.
He was a monster, and he was
good
throwing
NFL
his
grade,
heads
too.
off. They
Yeah.
always play that one hit that he laid on the quarterback. I think it was Tech,
Yep.
where he comes around the corner and he blasts.
Was that Graham Harrell that he actually does?
It might have been Graham Harrell. I can't remember off the top of my head. It might have been Graham Harrell.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. I know exactly who. Isaiah. So I'm going to go on the defensive line.
Okay.
And I loved this guy last year.
Okay.
I loved him over another defensive lineman that everybody in Texas was in love with, and I just couldn't understand. I'm going to go with Baron Sorrell.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I think now they refer to this as like your contract year,
right?
Where it's like the year that you could potentially go into the draft.
Right.
We've talked about the defensive line not having enough sacks, but we talk about a guy that's been close almost every time.
Right.
Baron Sorrell is that guy. And if he can get 9 or 10 sacks this year,
right,
he's going to the NFL.
Even with the quarterback pressures, because that's the thing. If you're constantly disrupting, if you're getting a quarterback off their mark, even if you got to make them readjust in a pocket, step up in a pocket, slide over in a pocket, if you have the opportunity to continue to do that on a daily or on a weekly basis, and you can get 2 or 3 of those, that's going to say a lot. That's going to say you're winning your battles. You're not necessarily getting there, but you're still making the offense or that quarterback adjust.
Yeah.
So that just lets people know, that lets the NFL scouts know, hey, this guy is a strong guy. This guy has a high motor. This guy has multiple ways of getting to the quarterback, whether it's bull rushing, ripping, spinning, stunning. If you can pull all of that off, he will be in the league. Because that's with all these quarterbacks and how things are going, you need a pass rush and you need somebody up in the middle. You need a big boy up in the middle. Now, if you can also contribute to stopping the run and you can stop the run, that also is going to get you in the league too.
Yep.
But the main thing is getting those QB pressures and getting those sacks. If you can do that and you can do it on a constant basis, of course, I definitely see him being in the league very soon.
Sacks make NFL defensive linemen, right?
Right.
I mean, like that's literally. I think getting those QB hits and pressures was a good step for him last year.
Mm-hmm.
This year, I do think it's getting sacks, and I think he needs 10 of them.
Okay.
And I think he gets 9 to 10.
That would be great.
And if he gets 9 to 10, if he can get 9 to 10, then this is going to be a very good Texas.
If he can get 9 or 10 sacks, this is a couple of things to me. If he gets a double-digit sacks, that means your defensive backs are doing what they need to do.
Yep.
Your linebackers are doing what they need to do, and your safeties are doing what they need to do. If you can do that, dude, I'd be the happiest camper alive, man. Like,
yeah, I mean, as a defensive lineman yourself, that would make you very happy.
Right.
So yeah, no, for sure. All right, and then finally, I need you to pick one player that was okay last year and is going to break out this year. Most improved player from 2022.
I don't think he did all right. I think he did extremely well. I think he's being overlooked. And that's none other than Kelvin Banks. We talked about it a couple of days ago. Kelvin Banks was not put on a Big 12 on a Big 12 all Big 12. Don't necessarily know what that's all about, or the preseason all Big 12. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
How that dude was mauling people. This guy, I think he may have given up like 2 or 3 sacks throughout the year as a true freshman. That says a lot. Like,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? A sack is not good. Let's just put it out there. But Kelvin Banks when he stepped on the field. Do you remember when we watched him in practice? I looked at you and I was like, "That's the best offensive lineman we got." And he hadn't started yet.
He was a freshman. Yeah.
He was a true freshman. This guy's
he's gone up against some really good guys. He didn't go up against any scrubs. He went up against Will Anderson, NFL.
He held Will Anderson to 0 sacks
and 0 pressures.
He
basically shut him out of the game.
Mauled him in the entire time. So for me, that guy is overlooked. That guy had an awesome season last year. He's a true freshman last year. He was obviously our best offensive lineman. Do you disagree that he's not the best offensive lineman that we got right now? And
I think he's the best tackle in the nation.
I rest my case.
Who's better? Like what? Some scrub from West Virginia is better. The one.
According to whoever is doing these rankings, and these rankings are trash, by the way, they super trash. But it's obvious to me that he sticks out. I think if you get any coach in here, and hopefully we can get Coach Ware in here one day, former defensive backs coach at Grambling. Hopefully we can get him in here and like really just break that stuff down, because what he did last year was magical. They talked about it ad nauseum against Bama. They were like, "Who's this kid? Like, this kid is a true freshman. He's mauling Will Anderson." There was one play where they show Quinn dropping back prior to him getting injured, and you see Kelvin literally just pancake Will Anderson.
Hey, listen, I'm not disagreeing with you there. So,
right.
But I already think Will Anderson is at that level. So to say that he's most improved, yeah, I'm going to cheat on mine.
Okay.
I'm going to say Quinn Ewers, right?
Right.
I think it's obvious. He's got more weapons now. He's got
a plethora of weapons.
No excuses in my mind. An offensive line that it's the same offensive line as last season. Right? The only team in the country that brings back the entire offensive line.
Right.
Some think it's a top 5 offensive line in the country. I think it's the best offensive line we've had at Texas in about 10 years.
I believe that.
And we're talking tackle to tackle, right?
Right.
So to me, if Quinn can't perform still, then I do think like the significance in his ability to perform is high.
Right.
And I think it's going to be high. Like if he does perform very well, he's like Heisman hopeful.
Right.
If he doesn't perform well, he's probably like 3rd round pick. Like I think it's that big of a difference.
Right. I think we definitely got at least 3 Heisman hopefuls on our team currently. I really do think that we have
Okay.
3.
Who do you think they are? Quinn, X, and who else?
Quinn, Xavier Worthy, and believe it or not, Jatavian Sanders.
Oh, Jatavian Sanders.
He's
Jatavian Sanders is interesting.
He's a monster. He's
I
literally
think,
a monster.
yeah, for sure. It's already hard enough for a wide receiver to win the Heisman. I mean, obviously, what Devontae Smith did a couple years ago was phenomenal, and that's why he won it.
Under Sark.
Yeah, under Sark, believe it or not, right? So we'll see. I just think if Quinn Ewers leads this team to an undefeated record in a college football playoff, it'll be solely because Quinn Ewers is playing at an elite level.
Right.
If we're talking about taking them over the top.
All of that, it's the perfect storm, right? For any of this to happen, right? Quinn has to be at the top of his game. If Jatavian Sanders is going to get, an invite to be a finalist, Quinn's got to be on the point. Yeah. If Quinn ends up wanting to be, and because we all know it's a quarterback, it's a quarterback award now, really. Yeah. Quinn's got to be on top of his game. If Xavier Worthy were to get the nod, Quinn's got to be on top. So all of this evolves around Quinn.
Yep.
And the pressure has been there since he's come out of high school. I mean, the pressure's been there since he was a senior in high school, if you really think about it, or a junior in high school.
Yep.
So it all boils down to him and what he does. So yeah, who do you got as most? Oh, well, you said Quinn. Yeah. Do you happen to have a second? Is there a second? Who did you pick that wasn't Quinn?
That's hard for me to say.
I'm going to say Xavier. It's got to be. We can't.
Who's the safety? Here, I need to look. There is a safety that played really well last year that I think will play even better this year.
Right. For me, it was either Quinn. I'm sorry, it was either Kelvin or Xavier. The only reason why I picked Xavier is because there was just so many drop balls that were like key drop balls. I'm not talking about like your tip, Quinn throws a duck or he overthrows. I'm talking about touchdowns.
Yeah.
Like
Terrence Brooks was my second one.
Okay. And I'm not mad at that either, but Terrence Brooks played really, really well last year.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I'm really excited to see the secondary. There's a lot of good guys in the secondary.
A lot of big guys.
Remember, we brought in Jalen Catalon from Arkansas.
Right.
That dude's gonna be really good. Jalen Gilbo, who played a lot early in the year last year. Jade Barron, obviously, this is the most talented secondary we've seen in a.
I think this is one of the deepest secondaries since we've had since the Deshaun Elliott era. Remember that? Do you remember? Yeah. Do you remember that moment? Like that time frame? Yep. We didn't know who these guys were, but they were making plays. They go to the league and now they're
killing it, right?
Right.
But if we're talking about known names that are also making an impact,
right?
We haven't had this since the Michael Griffin years.
Right.
Since the Griffin brothers.
Hold on. Let's not overlook Earl. Let's not overlook
no, that's the same years. Oh no, that's after.
It's after.
That was after. That was the 09 year.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. That's the group one. Yeah. Earl,
Quandre,
that group. Yep.
Right.
Okay,
right.
No. You're right. My bad.
Right.
Cool. All right, Tim, we're gonna get out of here, but there's one little thing I do want to mention real quick.
Right.
This is a big recruiting weekend. We won't go too deep into it. We'll probably cover it next week and after the fact.
Right. Hopefully we get some recruits that have already committed by that time.
Exactly. There's some big commutes. Obviously today, because we run the SEC, which means we run Florida, we got Dontre Robinson, who committed from Florida. Big recruit, picks Texas over Florida. Wasn't even close.
Right.
Tim, this weekend we've got some guys that are expected to commit. Obviously, the guy we love, Colin Simmons, is expected to commit soon.
Right.
He's picking between Texas, LSU, a couple of schools, Alabama, of course. And then Corian Gibson is supposed to announce on Saturday.
Right.
And
We also got Justin Williams as well.
And we also got Justin Williams, who's deciding between Alabama, Texas, Georgia, and Oregon. That's looking more like a Georgia commit, but you never give up on recruiting battles these days because anything can happen.
Right.
Wardell Mack is another guy that we're looking at. He was looking at Florida State, Florida, Texas, and LSU. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, I think there's supposed to be a commitment from Micah Hudson, Ryan Wingo, but I've also read they're not happening until after the season.
Right.
But we'll keep eyes on that.
Right. There are some rumors that I believe one of those guys has a December recruit announcement, but from what I was listening to today, that could absolutely change at any point in time between now and the time that recruiting between the early, committing can close.
Yeah.
So we just got to keep our ears open for the next week. It is going to be a busy week this weekend in Austin. So I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, we're pulling all the recruits that we possibly can for the 2024 class. This 2024 class, we're sitting at 19. We're definitely moving up after this weekend, I believe.
Yeah, I think so too. And there's still a lot of commits to come. So, cool. Well, hey guys, thanks for joining us again tonight. Of course, like I said, please follow us on Twitter, LH Fan Battle. Please remember to go to the website, fanbattlesports.com. I'll put that back up there on the thing. I have a article that should be posting either tonight or tomorrow. I need to figure out how that works. Tim, why don't you go ahead and lead us out? Let everybody know where they can follow you, where they can find you, and all the stuff and all that those good things.
Oh yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Tim Wayne, just spelled out Tim Wayne. You can also find me at Fan Battle Sports. I'll be posting something here pretty soon here as well. You can find my man over there at the Uncle Gandhi on Twitter talking cash money. I think I'm turning into you on the cool because I was talking some trash earlier today.
I saw you getting in there.
On your team, by the way, on your NFL team, by the way, I was taking up for you guys. So
what were you saying, Tim?
Hey man, we'll talk about the uniforms. We can talk about that another time.
Oh, uniforms, yeah. We'll talk about that offline. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, you guys can find me everywhere at the Uncle Gandhi. I'm now back on Twitter. I apologize for MAGA for making them mad. My bad. I'm notorious for getting banned for saying things that don't make any sense.
Wait, you got banned on Twitter again?
No, this is the first time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I said I don't remember what I said.
Facebook banned it though.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I didn't say anything horrible. I just, was a little colorful. I was a little passionate about it, right? My trolling went a little too far. My bad. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. My name is Harish. That's my guy, Tim. We're Longhorn Fan Battle. We'll see you later. Peace.
Phil Gabriel. Welcome.
Go home. Touchdown like the end zone. When the circle turn to my home. Can't get me out of my zone. Go hard. Go home.